calling forth. We're in western North Carolina in 1840. Late one night, after everyone at Dark Level Farm slept, Gabriel stepped outside the slave cabin he shared with his wife. His footsteps were muffled by heavy rain as he walked to a nearby shed. A blanket's coarse, wet wool raked Gabriel's naked shoulders. Though only in his 30s, his back was already bent from years of field work. Nearby, he heard sounds, cloaked in the shadows of wet leaves, of those beasts that were still wild, hunting, their hungry tongues licking sharpened teeth. Gabriel passed a scarecrow he had staked out at the edge of the garden. The bleached white face, carved from a gourd, resembled a skull and was fierce enough to ward off any crow. Across the south, a great variety of altars, bottle trees, rock herons, and any number of icons had been subversively woven into the fabric of farms and plantations. Each Sunday, the slaves were expected to sit in the back of the small community church and listen to stories of burning bushes that talked, seas that parted, and men who walked on water. Yes, those who were enslaved nodded each week. They too had witnessed such things. For Gabriel and his wife, the spirit world was big enough for it all. Like water, spirit was a gathering of streams, each searching for a welcoming bed. Ultimately, in the confluence, there would be no distinguishing one stream from another. This wasn't something the couple ever spoke of. It was just something they knew, because they knew everything had a spirit and was alive. Gabriel entered the small tool shed behind the barn. Inside, the damp air hung close with the blood taste of iron. Rising up before him was his shrine to Ogun, the warrior spirit of his Yoruba people. The altar had gone undetected because it appeared merely as a heap of scrap metal piled around a block of cordwood. The wood was embedded with a variety of seemingly random metal refuse. Pulling a muddy metal shard from his pocket, Gabriel wiped it clean. Earlier in the day, his shovel had clanged against the metal bone of an old spade, its long wooden arm broken and decaying into dirt. He understood the discovery meant Ogun had summoned him. Using a stone, Gabriel now sharpened the blade until a keen edge flashed in the light of his lantern, and he then placed the weapon on his altar. When Gabriel was 8 years old, he had been taken from his mother, placed on a scale, and his price was determined by his weight. Then he was listed, not by name, but counted as one of so many livestock. But no matter how many beatings Gabriel had endured, his spirit hadn't been destroyed. And now Ogun, the warrior spirit of his ancestors, had summoned him. A strip of red cloth tied to a hoe handle on the altar fluttered. Ogun was coming to life. Gabriel reached out and pulled the crimson cloth to his face. The fabric was warm, like the beating of a heart. He opened the small cloth bundle he had carried from his cabin. Tucked inside was a slab of fried fatback and a wedge of cornbread. A dark stain seeped across the red bandana. Gabriel stared at the greasy bruise as if it were blood from a wound. Lifting the food to his nose, he inhaled the sweet fragrance of the supper he was now sacrificing to Ogun. In a low voice, he began to chant. And then, rocking and humming, he summoned the power and protection of this Yoruba warrior among warriors. Gabriel picked up a hammer. As heavy rain beat against the roof, he pounded the thick splinter of a broken nail into the wooden block of Ogun's body. The wood did not split. gun's barbed shield bristled in the night. With each strike of his hammer, Gabriel grew stronger. Whatever it took, Gabriel knew he would fight for freedom. So I will just add that in the story,